These are the most 0% sportsmanship moments in UFC history, the times when fighters crossed every line of respect, decency, and rules in the octagon or right after it. We're talking blatant cheap shots, refusing to let go of submissions long after the tap, post-fight assaults, repeated illegal fouls like eye pokes that feel anything but accidental, and pure ego-driven nonsense that damaged careers, reputations, and the sport's image. Some got disqualified on the spot, banned for life, fined heavily, or just became infamous legends for all the wrong reasons. These aren't just slip-ups, they're moments that made fans, commentators, and even Dana White lose their minds. What do all the biggest UFC controversies involving unsportsmanlike conduct have in common? A lot of them stem from fighters who couldn't handle losing, couldn't resist going dirty when the pressure hit, or straight up didn't care about the consequences because ego took over. Starting with one of the most infamous post-fight meltdowns that ended a career in seconds. I just think it's cheap for the sport. I mean, that's what they want to think. A fighter sucker punches his opponent after the final bell while the ref is separating them. A heel hook cranked viciously past the tap, risking permanent injury. A champion taunting and clowning for 5 full rounds instead of fighting. A guy who repeatedly eye pokes opponents like it's part of his game plan. These are the most unsportsmanlike moments in UFC history. Let's dive deep, starting with the one that got a guy banned for life on the spot. UFC 113, May 8, 2010, Montreal. The fight was gritty. Koscheck used his wrestling to control, smothered Daly on the ground, and took a unanimous decision win. Trash talk had been flying pre-fight and Daly was visibly pissed. The bell rings to end it, the ref steps between them to separate, Koscheck turns away. All of a sudden, Daly spins like a coiled spring and unleashes a clean, hard right hand straight to Koscheck's jaw. Post-fight sucker punch, live on PPV, no gloves up, no warning. Koscheck drops like a sack, chaos erupts in the cage. Dana White storms backstage furious, hits the presser and declares, he's out. He's gone. Forever. Daly never fought in the UFC again, lifetime been handed down immediately. It wasn't frustration, it was straight assault after the fight was over. No excuses, no coming back. One of the clearest examples of zero sportsmanship turning into career suicide. But if we're talking repeated, career-long dirty tactics that endangered opponents, Rousimar Tequinho Palhares takes the crown as one of the dirtiest ever. The Brazilian was a legit submission beast, freakish grip strength, nasty leg locks, but he turned villain by refusing to release holds after the tap. Multiple times. Against Tomas Drual in 2010, he held a heel hook way past the tap, cranking it until the ref forced him off, got suspended 90 days by the Athletic Commission. Fast forward to 2013, UFC Fight Night vs Mike Pierce. He sinks an ankle lock in 31 seconds, Pierce taps frantically, but Palhares keeps twisting, holding on extra seconds like he wanted to break it. Refs pry him off, but the damage was done. Dana White. This is the second incident. We cut him, he'll never fight in the UFC again. Released the next day. Palhares had other issues too, eye pokes, fish hooking, but holding submissions post-tap wasn't the aggressive finishing, it was reckless and dangerous. Fighters' careers were at risk. Joe Rogan called him out repeatedly, this guy's scary. Pure 0% respect for the tap, the opponent, or the sport. Would he really do something like that? I don't know. This is the way he fights, you know. Now shift to showboating that embarrassed the entire UFC brand. UFC 112, April 10, 2010, Abu Dhabi. Anderson the Spider Silva defending his middleweight title against Damian Maia. Silva was the pound-for-pound king, untouchable, but instead of dominating or finishing, he turned it into a circus. For 5 rounds, he danced, taunted, put hands behind his back, pointed at Maia like a come on, clowned around, avoided real engagement. Maia couldn't land clean, but Silva refused to press or even try seriously. The crowd booed relentlessly, it was a farce. Dana White ripped him in the post-fight presser. Disrespectful to the fans, to his opponent, to the sport. If he does that again, he's gone. Silva got fined, but it stained his legacy, arrogance over competition. Not dirty in the foul sense, but 0% sportsmanship in effort and respect. Eye pokes have ruined countless fights and drawn massive hate. John Ebones Jones became infamous for them. Extended fingers straight into eyes against Daniel Cormier multiple times in their rivalry, Glover Teixeira, Alexander Gustafsson, Dominic Reyes, you name it. Refs warn, deduct points sometimes, but it kept happening. Jones even joked about it on social media at times, which made it worse. Was it intentional? Negligent? Doesn't matter, chronic eye pokes feel dirty, especially when they alter fights. Uriah Faber too, eye pokes plus low blows in key moments during his prime. The UFC eventually cracked down harder with fines, point deductions, and mandatory warnings because accidental wasn't flying anymore. These aren't one-offs, they're patterns that scream poor control or worse. That was terrible. Early UFC had straight savagery before rules tightened. UFC 43, June 2003, Wes Sims vs. Frank Mir. Sims gets dominated, but when Mir's grounded, Sims illegally grabs the cage for leverage and unleashes vicious, stomping downward kicks to Mir's head while he's down. Illegal stomps, brutal damage to Mir's face. Sims DQ'd immediately. One of the dirtiest cheap shots captured on camera from the Wild West era. Gilbert Yvel deserves a spot for sheer menace. Known for eye gouging repeatedly on Don Fry and others, biting, and in one infamous incident, he punched and kicked a referee unconscious after a DQ. Multiple disqualifications across promotions, reputation as uncontrollable. MMA had to draw hard lines because of guys like him. Ronda Rousey in defeat showed zero class at times. After her shocking KO loss to Holly Holm at UFC 193, she refused post-fight gestures. In her trilogy with Miesha Tate, after winning the first but losing the rematch, she'd snub handshakes or walk off without respect. Demanding respect when winning but giving none when losing, ego over sportsmanship. Pre-fight weirdness turned violent. Keith Haring vs. Yoshihiro Nakao at World Victory Road. During stare-down/instructions, Nakao kisses Haring on the cheek as a troll. Haring snaps, throws a punch mid-ceremony, KOs Nakao cold. Instant DQ. Bizarre provocation meets instant overreaction. Hector Lombard at UFC 222, 2018 vs. CB Dollaway. Lombard throws an illegal knee to a downed opponent, gets DQ'd for the cheap shot. Controversy erupted immediately. Muhammad Mokaf recently, multiple fights with alleged dirty tactics like grabbing shorts, fence holding, but his post-fight swing at Mantle Cape and pre-fight antics contributed to not being re-signed. Cheap shots and poor conduct at Up. Conor McGregor has had moments, low blows, eye pokes in big fights, but his post-UFC 229 bus attack on the media bus, smashing windows with a dolly, injuring people, was unsportsmanlike outside the cage, leading to charges and massive backlash. These moments highlight the razor-thin line in combat sports. Pressure, rivalries, and massive egos can flip elite athletes into villains instantly. The UFC has tightened rules on fouls, eye pokes, late shots, post-fight nonsense, increased penalties, and made examples with bans to protect the sport. But these remain the infamous ones fans still debate, rewatch, and argue over endlessly. Which one shocked you the most? The lifetime bans? The held submissions? The eye pokes? Drop your take in the comments below. If you want more deep dives into MMA's wild, controversial history, cheap shots, DQs, bans, rivalries, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Don't be like the guys who hold on too long after the tap. Thanks for watching. Stay respectful out there. Peace.